Jake Morrison stared out the viewport of his cargo ship as New Austin Colony burned below. The green farms that had fed 3 million people across 5 star systems were now nothing but ash and smoke. 50,000 humans had lived there just 6 hours ago. Now they were all dead. "Captain, we need to leave," his sister Amy said from behind him. Her voice shook, but she kept it steady. Amy had been his co-pilot for 8 years. She had seen plenty of bad things in space, but nothing like this. Jake did not move from the window. The Zephyrian ships hung in space like silver daggers, their job finished. They had come to New Austin with a simple message from their empire. The colony was not making enough food. The humans were too slow, too weak, too stupid. The Zephyrians needed the planet for their own farms. The colonists had begged for more time. They offered to work harder, to give up their rest days, to send their children to help in the fields. The Zephyrian commander had listened to their pleas with those big black eyes that showed nothing. Then he had given the order to fire. They were families, Pete Rodriguez whispered. The engineer had grown up on New Austin before joining Jake's crew. His parents still lived there, had lived there. "My mom was down there. My little brother just started school last month." Lisa Thompson, their medic, put her hand on Pete's shoulder. She had no words. What words could help when an entire world died in one afternoon? Jake finally turned away from the viewport. His crew looked at him with hollow eyes. They all knew this day would come. For 300 years, the alien empires had treated humans like animals. The Zephyrians used their mind powers to make humans obey. The Korthax ruled with guns and fear. The Villani treated human workers like machines that could be thrown away when they broke. Humans had tried to fight back before. Every rebellion had failed. Every attempt at freedom had ended with dead colonies and broken families. The aliens were too strong, too advanced, too united. But Jake Morrison had a secret. "Follow me," he told his crew. He led them through the narrow halls of the New Liberty to the cargo bay. Most of the space was filled with grain shipments and mining equipment, normal cargo for a normal freight run. But Jake walked to the back wall and pressed his hand against what looked like solid metal. A hidden panel slid open. Inside was a room that should not exist on a simple cargo ship. Banks of computers lined the walls. Communication equipment that could reach across the galaxy sat silent and dark. Amy, Pete, and Lisa stared in shock. "How long has this been here?" Amy asked. "Since before you were born," Jake said. He moved to the main console and began typing commands. "Dad installed it when he gave me this ship. His father installed the first version when he got the ship from his father." The screens came alive with data. Star maps appeared showing hidden bases throughout human space. Names and faces of people the crew had never heard of filled other displays. Scientists, soldiers, engineers, doctors. Thousands of humans in positions throughout the alien empires. "This is impossible," Lisa breathed. "The aliens would have found this network years ago." "They found what we wanted them to find," Jake said. "Small rebel groups that made noise and got themselves killed. But the real network stayed hidden. We learned patience from them. We learned to wait. We learned to watch and plan while they thought we were broken." Pete leaned closer to one of the screens. "These people work for the aliens. This woman is a nurse in a Zephyrian hospital. This man fixes Korthak weapons. Why are they in your secret database?" "Because they are not really working for the aliens," Jake explained. "They are working for us. Every human who takes a job with the empires, every human who bows and scrapes and says yes sir to alien masters. Some of them are really gathering information, learning weaknesses, preparing." Amy grabbed her brother's arm. "Preparing for what?" Jake looked at his sister, his friend, his crew. These were good people who had spent their lives trying to survive under alien rule. They hauled cargo, followed orders, stayed quiet. They watched their people suffer and die and did nothing because there was nothing they could do. Until now. "The network has been waiting for the right moment," Jake said. "Waiting for something so terrible that every human in the galaxy would finally understand that we can never live in peace with these empires. They will never see us as equals. They will never stop treating us like slaves." He gestured toward the viewport where the ashes of New Austin Colony still glowed. Today was that moment. Jake sat down at the communication console and began entering codes that had been passed down through 3 generations of his family. The equipment hummed to life, sending signals across space to receivers that had waited decades for this message. "What are you doing?" Amy asked. "I am telling them it is time," Jake said. His fingers moved across the controls with practiced skill. Time to stop hiding. Time to stop pretending. Time to show these empires what humans can really do when we stop holding back. The message went out on frequencies the aliens had never discovered. It reached mining stations in the asteroid belt where humans had been building ships in secret. It found research labs hidden in dead systems where scientists had been developing new weapons. It connected with soldiers who had spent years learning alien tactics while pretending to be simple workers. Across 200 worlds, the message arrived in hidden rooms and secret bases. The humans who received it had been waiting their entire lives for this signal. Some had been born into the network. Others had joined after watching too many friends die under alien rule. All of them understood what the message meant. The time for patience was over. The time for hiding was finished. Humanity had finally said enough. And now the galaxy would learn what 300 years of anger could accomplish when it was finally set free. Dr. Kevin Hayes was deep in the heart of an asteroid when Jake's message reached him. The rock looked dead from the outside, just another piece of space junk floating in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. But inside, 3,000 humans worked, in laboratories that the alien empires had never imagined could exist. Kevin had been born in these tunnels 40 years ago. His parents were scientists who fled Earth when the Zephyrians first arrived. They had spent their lives building this place, carving rooms from solid rock and hiding them behind layers of metal that blocked alien scanners. The message came through on the old quantum communicator his father had installed decades ago. Kevin, read the simple words twice before he believed them. Then he ran through the corridors to find the others. "It's time," he shouted as he burst into the main laboratory. "Jake Morrison sent the signal. The network is active." Dr. Sarah Kim looked up from her workstation. She had been testing their latest creation, a drive system that could move ships faster than anything the aliens had built. For 20 years, she had wondered if she would ever see it used in a real fight. "Are you certain?" she asked. "This could be a trap. The aliens have tried to find us before." Kevin showed her the message on his handheld device. The codes were correct. The encryption was perfect. Only someone with access to the deepest levels of the resistance network could have sent this signal. Sarah nodded and walked to a wall panel. She entered her personal code and placed her hand on a scanner. A hidden door slid open, revealing a tunnel that led deeper into the asteroid. "Then we had better show them what we have been building," she said. They walked through corridors that had taken generations to carve. Kevin's grandfather had started this work with simple mining tools. His father had expanded the tunnels with better equipment stolen from alien construction sites. Kevin himself had overseen the installation of the massive foundries and fabrication plants that filled the asteroid's core. The tunnel opened into a chamber so large that Kevin still felt amazed every time he entered it. The space was big enough to hold a city. Instead, it held something more valuable. Ships. Hundreds of vessels filled the vast hollow inside the asteroid. They looked like nothing the galaxy had ever seen before. The hulls were smooth and dark, designed by computers that had studied every weakness in alien armor. The engines used technology that combined human innovation with reverse-engineered alien systems. "How many are ready?" Kevin asked. 612 combat vessels, Sarah replied. Another 200 support ships, all fueled, all armed, all waiting for crews. Kevin smiled. The aliens thought humans were primitive. They believed human technology was centuries behind their own advanced systems. They had no idea that humans had been studying alien equipment since the first day of the occupation. Every piece of technology the empires had shared with their human subjects had been taken apart, analyzed, and improved. The resonance drive was their greatest achievement. While alien ships used the hyperspace lanes that could be monitored and controlled, human vessels could travel through normal space at speeds that made alien faster-than-light drives look slow. A human ship could appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning, but the real secret was not the technology. It was the people. Colonel Maria Santos received Jake's message while she was training pilots in a hidden base on Europa. The moon's ice-covered surface looked empty to alien scanners, but underneath the frozen ocean, humans had built a military academy that rivaled anything the Korthak Empire had constructed. Maria had been a fighter pilot before the aliens arrived. She had watched Earth's defenses crumble in 3 days. She had seen humanity surrender without firing more than a few shots. That day, she had sworn that humans would never be caught unprepared again. For 30 years, she had trained pilots, in secret. Men and women who worked as cargo haulers, miners, and technicians during the day came to her base at night to learn combat flying. They practiced in simulators built from stolen alien technology. They studied tactics developed by analyzing every alien battle for 3 centuries. Commander Tony Walsh was her best student. He had started training when he was 16, lying about his age to join the program. Now he was 35 and could outfly any alien pilot in the galaxy. More importantly, he had trained 1,000 other pilots who were just as skilled. "How many people do we have?" Maria asked after reading Jake's message. 12,000 trained pilots, Tony replied. Another 30,000 ground troops, support personnel for logistics, communications, engineering. We have been building this force for decades. Maria nodded. The aliens had made a critical mistake when they allowed humans to work in their military forces. Every human who served as a mechanic, a cook, or a guard was actually a trained soldier gathering intelligence. They knew alien weapons, alien tactics, alien weaknesses, but the network extended far beyond the military. Dr. Paul Johnson worked in a Korthak weapons facility on the planet Rigel 7. To his alien supervisors, he was a simple technician who maintained their plasma cannons and energy shields. They did not know that Paul had a doctorate in advanced physics from a hidden human university. For 8 years, Paul had been making small modifications to Korthak weapons systems. A tiny change in the power flow here. A minor adjustment to the targeting system there. Nothing that would be noticed during normal operations. But when the weapons were pushed to their limits in combat, they would fail at the worst possible moment. Nurse Helen Davis had an even more dangerous job. She worked in a Zephyrian medical center, treating alien patients and learning about their biology. The Zephyrians trusted her because humans were considered too primitive to understand advanced medicine. Helen had discovered something that could change the war. The Zephyrian ability to control minds required a specific brain chemical. Helen had developed a drug that could block that chemical for hours. A human who took her medicine would be immune to Zephyrian mental control. She had been secretly distributing the drug to humans throughout Zephyrian space. Thousands of people now carried the pills, waiting for the day they could use them. That day had finally arrived. Across the galaxy, humans in positions throughout the alien empires received Jake's message. Factory workers who had been sabotaging production lines for years prepared for their final acts of destruction. Computer technicians, who had installed hidden programs in alien systems, activated viruses that would cripple entire fleets. Servants, who had spent decades listening to alien conversations passed along the locations of hidden bases and secret weapons. The alien empires had spent 3 centuries believing that humans were defeated. They thought the occupation was permanent, that humanity had accepted its place as a servant species. They had no idea that every human smile was hiding anger. Every act of obedience was masking rebellion. The Zephyrians, Korthaks, and Villani were about to learn that humans had not been conquered. They had been planning. And now, after 300 years of preparation, humanity was ready for war. Admiral Frank Miller watched the Korthak fleet approach through his ship's sensors. 27 alien warships moved in perfect formation toward Proxima Station, confident they would crush another human rebellion in a matter of hours. The Korthaks had done this dozens of times before. Humans would fight for a few days, then surrender when they realized how hopeless their situation was. Frank's ship looked like an old cargo hauler. The hull was scarred and dirty. The engines appeared to be held together with spare parts and hope. To alien scanners, it was exactly what it seemed to be. a desperate human vessel trying to flee before the real fighting started. The Korthax had no idea they were looking at the most advanced warship in the galaxy. "All ships report ready," Commander Lisa Park said from her position at the communications console. Lisa had trained for this moment her entire adult life. She coordinated the movements of 50 human vessels that appeared to be scattered cargo ships and mining platforms. In reality, they were a precision strike force that had practiced this battle 1,000 times in simulation. "Weapons are charged and locked," reported Chief Gunner Mike Torres. His weapon systems were hidden inside cargo containers and mining equipment housings. The aliens would not detect them until it was too late. Frank had served in Earth's Navy before the invasion. He had watched humanity's proud fleet surrender without firing a shot. The alien technology had seemed impossible to defeat. Shields that could stop any human weapon. Armor that could absorb direct hits from nuclear weapons. Speed that made human ships look like they were standing still. But that was 300 years ago. Humans had learned much since then. "Enemy fleet is moving into attack formation," Lisa reported. "They are targeting the station's defense platforms first. Let them," Frank said calmly. "Those platforms are decoys anyway." The Korthak fleet opened fire on Proxima Station's defenses. Beams of energy that could cut through solid steel struck the platforms and destroyed them in brilliant explosions. The alien commander probably felt satisfied. The humans were defending their position exactly as expected. While the Korthaks focused on the fake defenses, Frank's ships moved into position. They drifted closer like frightened cargo vessels trying to escape the battle zone. The aliens paid no attention to them. "Now," Frank said quietly. 50 human ships revealed their true nature in the same instant. Cargo containers split open to expose weapons that fired concentrated bursts of energy. Mining platforms deployed missile systems that had been hidden in ore processing equipment. Ships that had appeared slow and clumsy suddenly moved with deadly precision. The Korthak formation collapsed in the first 30 seconds of the real battle. 12 alien ships were destroyed before their commanders understood what was happening. The survivors tried to retreat, but human ships surrounded them using the resonance drive to appear exactly where they were needed. The battle was over in 10 minutes. Not a single human vessel was lost. On the other side of the galaxy, Captain Kelly Brown faced a different kind of enemy. The Zephyrians had come to punish the human workers on mining station Omega-7. They brought their most powerful psychic controllers, beings who could turn human minds into puppets with a single thought. Kelly had volunteered for Zephyrian mind control experiments when she was 20 years old. For 5 years she had endured torture that would have broken most people. The aliens used her as a test subject, trying to perfect their mental domination techniques. But Kelly had not broken. She had learned. "Remember what we practiced," she told her team as the Zephyrian ship approached. "Do not look directly at them. Focus on the mental exercises. Take the pills exactly when I tell you." Her team consisted of 20 humans who had all survived Zephyrian mind control experiments. They were the only people in the galaxy who knew how to fight back against psychic attacks. The Zephyrian commander materialized on the station's docking bay. He was 7 feet tall with skin that shifted colors like oil on water. His black eyes could see into human minds and twist thoughts into knots of fear and obedience. "You will surrender," he said, and his voice echoed inside the skulls of every human on the station. "You will kneel and beg for forgiveness." Most of the miners fell to their knees immediately. The psychic command was too strong to resist. But Kelly and her team remained standing. "Take the pills now," Kelly whispered. 20 humans swallowed. Helen Davis's anti-psychic medication. The drug blocked the brain chemicals that Zephyrian mind control required. For the first time in 3 centuries, humans faced Zephyrians as equals. The alien commander's confusion was obvious. His psychic powers pushed against the humans' minds and found nothing to grip. It was like trying to control machines. "Impossible," he hissed. "Humans cannot resist the mind touch. We have had 300 years to figure out how," Kelly replied. She raised a weapon that fired concentrated electromagnetic pulses. The energy was tuned to disrupt Zephyrian nervous systems. The commander tried to flee, but Kelly's team surrounded him. The most feared beings in the galaxy discovered that without their psychic abilities, they were just another species of alien, and humans had become very good at fighting aliens. Meanwhile, Chief Engineer Sam Parker was having the time of his life on the Villani mining world of Kepler 442b. The corporate syndicate treated this planet like their personal money machine. Human workers dug precious metals from deep mines while Villani overseers counted profits and planned new ways to increase production. Sam had worked in these mines for 15 years. The Villani thought he was a simple laborer who barely understood the equipment he operated. They had no idea that Sam held advanced degrees in robotics and computer science. For years, Sam had been making small changes to the mining robots. He adjusted their programming here, modified their sensors there. The changes were so subtle that even detailed inspections missed them. But when Sam activated the hidden code he had planted in every machine, the results were spectacular. 2,000 mining robots suddenly turned on their Villani controllers. Machines that had been designed to dig ore began attacking alien overseers. Conveyor belts reversed direction, dumping tons of rock on Villani supervisors. Automated vehicles that normally carried supplies instead carried human workers to safety through tunnel networks that connected across the entire planet. The Villani had always prided themselves on their efficiency. Their corporate structure was a perfect machine that turned human labor into alien profit. But they had made one critical mistake. They had allowed humans to maintain their machines. Now those same machines were hunting Villani throughout the mining complex, while human workers disappeared into tunnels that the aliens had never known existed. Sam watched from a hidden control room as his robot army secured the entire mining operation. 15 years of careful planning had paid off in 15 minutes of perfectly coordinated chaos. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on hundreds of worlds. The three alien empires had built their power on the assumption that humans were defeated and broken. They had never imagined that their servants were actually soldiers waiting for orders. The orders had finally come. And humanity was showing the galaxy what 3 centuries of patience and planning could accomplish when the gloves finally came off. The war had begun and the aliens were losing. Lieutenant Colonel Danny Carter sat in the captured Zephyrian Communication Center on Europa Station, watching 3 alien empires tear each other apart. The room was filled with monitors showing military communications from across the galaxy. Danny could hear Korthak generals screaming at Zephyrian admirals. He could watch Villani corporate executives arguing with their supposed allies about money and resources. The 3 empires that had ruled the galaxy for centuries were falling apart, and Danny had helped make it happen. For 2 months, Danny had been sending false messages through the alien communication networks. He used captured codes and stolen encryption keys to make each empire believe the others were planning betrayal. A fake message here suggested the Zephyrians were hiding their best ships. A planted document there showed the Korthaks moving troops toward Villani territory. The aliens had always been suspicious of each other. Their alliance was built on fear of human rebellion, not trust. Danny had simply given their paranoia the push it needed to become open warfare. The Korthak Third Fleet is moving toward Zephyrian space, reported Sergeant Lisa Chang, Danny's communications expert. She had been monitoring alien military channels for weeks. Their commander believes the Zephyrians are planning to attack Korthak supply lines. Excellent, Danny said. What about the Villani? Their board of directors just voted to stop sending raw materials to both empires, Lisa replied. They think the war is becoming too expensive. Danny nodded with satisfaction. The Villani were exactly as greedy as human intelligence had predicted. When their profits started declining, they would abandon their allies without hesitation. The false information campaign was working better than Danny had hoped, but humans were also winning through direct action. Captain Rachel Stone crouched in the shadows outside the Korthak High Command Center on the planet Arcturus Prime. Her stealth suit made her nearly invisible to alien sensors. Behind her, 20 human Special Forces soldiers waited for her signal. Rachel had spent 5 years working as a janitor in this building. cleaning floors and emptying trash while memorizing every security system and guard rotation. The Korthaks had never paid attention to the quiet human woman who serviced their offices. They had no idea she was a trained killer who could speak 4 alien languages and hack any computer system in the galaxy. Tonight, Rachel and her team were going to capture General Thrakvor, the supreme commander of Korthak military forces. But they were not going to kill him. Team 2 is in position at the rear entrance, whispered Corporal Mike Stevens through her earpiece. Team 3 has disabled the security sensors on the top floor. Move in, Rachel commanded. The assault was swift and silent. Human soldiers flowed through the building like shadows, neutralizing guards with tranquilizer weapons and electronic jammers. The Korthaks were skilled warriors, but they had never faced enemies who knew their building better than they did. Rachel found General Thrakvor in his private quarters studying battle plans on a holographic display. The 7-foot-tall alien turned as she entered, his forearms reaching for weapons. "Do not move," Rachel said in perfect Korthak. "You are surrounded." The general's eyes widened in surprise. "You speak our language." "I speak many languages," Rachel replied. "I also know that you are not happy with your Zephyrian allies." She was right. Human intelligence had intercepted communications showing that General Thrakvor disagreed with his government's alliance with the psychic manipulators. The old warrior believed in honest combat, not mind control. "I have a proposal for you," Rachel continued. "You can die here defending a losing cause, or you can listen to what humanity has to offer." 3 hours later, General Thrakvor was secretly meeting with human representatives in a neutral location. The Korthak commander had always respected strength, and humanity had proven their strength in battle. More importantly, humans were offering something the Zephyrians and Villani never had: genuine respect for Korthak military honor. "Your people fight well," the general admitted. "I have studied the battle reports. Human tactics are impressive." Colonel Maria Santos, who had flown from her hidden base to attend the meeting, nodded respectfully. "We learned from the best teachers. We studied Korthak military history for 3 centuries. And now you wish to make peace?" "We wish to make something better than peace," Maria replied. "We want to make partnership, equals fighting together instead of masters commanding slaves." The idea was revolutionary. For thousands of years, galactic politics had been about domination. The strong ruled the weak. The advanced civilizations conquered the primitive ones. No one had ever suggested that different species might work together as equals. General Thrakvor was intrigued. His own government was already questioning the alliance with the Zephyrians and Villani. Reports from the front lines showed that human resistance was far stronger than anyone had predicted. Maybe it was time to consider new options. Similar conversations were happening throughout the galaxy. High-ranking Zephyrians, who were disgusted by their empire's brutality, met secretly with human diplomats. Villani executives who saw opportunity in chaos began negotiating private deals with human trading companies. The Three-Empire Alliance was cracking, and humans were offering alternatives to anyone smart enough to see which way the war was going. But not all aliens were ready to switch sides. Emperor Zixnal of the Zephyrian hegemony was furious about human resistance. He had built his power on the belief that Zephyrian minds were superior to all other forms of life. The idea that primitive humans could resist psychic control was unthinkable. "Destroy them all," he commanded his remaining loyal forces. "Every human world, every human ship, every human life. I want their species extinct within 1 year." The order went out to Zephyrian fleets throughout the galaxy, but many of the ships never received it. Human hackers had infiltrated the communication network so thoroughly that they could intercept and modify military orders in real time. Instead of receiving commands to commit genocide, many Zephyrian commanders got messages suggesting they should consider surrender. The messages appeared to come from their own high command, complete with authentic encryption codes. Some aliens obeyed the false orders. Others tried to verify them and discovered that their communication systems had been compromised for months. A few remained loyal to Emperor Zixnal, but they found themselves fighting alone against enemies who seemed to know their every move before they made it. The Volani corporate syndicate was having its own problems. Their carefully organized profit margins were collapsing as human sabotage destroyed mining operations across dozens of worlds. Worse, human economic warfare was targeting their financial systems directly. Dr. Janet Walsh, a human economist who had been working as a low-level accountant for Volani Industries, had spent 10 years studying alien financial networks. She understood exactly how Volani money moved through the galactic economy. With help from human computer specialists, Janet launched coordinated attacks on Volani banking systems. Electronic transfers were rerouted to human resistance accounts. Stock prices were manipulated to bankrupt key Volani corporations. Investment funds vanished into untraceable accounts that funded human military operations. In 6 weeks, Janet had cost the Volani corporate syndicate more money than they had made in the previous decade. Board members who had never worried about anything except profit margins were suddenly facing personal bankruptcy. Many of them decided that switching sides was the only way to save their fortunes. By the end of the 4th month of the war, the Three-Empire Alliance had become a three-way civil war. Cortax fought Zephyrians over military command decisions. Zephyrians attacked Volani facilities to steal resources. Volani hired mercenaries to protect their remaining assets from both former allies. Humanity stood at the center of the chaos, offering partnership to anyone ready to abandon the old system of domination and conquest. Some aliens accepted the offer. Others fought to the bitter end. But the outcome was no longer in doubt. The galaxy was changing, and humans were deciding what it would become. General Carl Brooks stood on the bridge of the human flagship Liberty's Dawn as the last Zephyrian fleet approached Earth. 6 months ago, Carl had been a simple cargo pilot hauling supplies between human colonies. Now he commanded the largest military force in galactic history. The United Human Fleet numbered over 3,000 ships, but more importantly, it included vessels from dozens of species that had chosen to fight alongside humanity. Korthak heavy cruisers flew in formation, with human destroyers. Reformed Zephyrian ships used their psychic abilities to coordinate attacks instead of enslaving minds. Even some Volani corporate vessels had joined the fleet, their crews motivated by profit shares in the new galactic economy humanity was building. "Enemy fleet is dropping out of hyperspace," reported Captain Amy Morrison from her position at the tactical station. Jake's sister had proven herself an excellent military commander during the 6 months of war. 57 ships. They are forming attack formations. Carl nodded calmly. The approaching Zephyrian fleet was all that remained of Emperor Zixnal's once mighty armada. Most of their ships had been destroyed in battle. Others had switched sides when their crews realized the war was lost. These final vessels represented the die-hard loyalists who would rather die than admit humans were their equals. "Open a communication channel," Carl ordered. The main screen showed the bridge of the Zephyrian flagship. Emperor Zixnal himself stood at the center, his skin shifting through angry colors. Behind him, loyal Zephyrian officers prepared for their final battle. "Human commander," the Emperor spat. "You have destroyed everything we built. 3,000 years of galactic civilization, reduced to chaos by primitive savages." "We did not destroy civilization," Carl replied calmly. "We removed the chains. What you built was not civilization. It was slavery with fancy decorations." The Emperor's rage was visible in the violent color changes of his skin. "Humans are animals. You belong in cages, not commanding starships. When we finish with Earth, we will hunt down every human in the galaxy." "You will try," Carl said, "but you will fail, because you still do not understand what you are fighting." The communication channel closed. The Zephyrian fleet began its attack run toward Earth, but they were not facing the primitive human defenses that had collapsed 3 centuries ago. Earth was now the most heavily defended planet in the galaxy. Orbital platforms bristled with weapons designed by human engineers and alien defectors working together. The moon hosted massive shipyards where former enemies built vessels using the best technology from every species. But the real defense of Earth was the fleet itself. When the Zephyrians attacked, they found themselves outnumbered 10-1 by ships crewed by beings from across the galaxy who had chosen cooperation over conquest. The battle lasted 30 minutes. Not a single Zephyrian vessel survived. On the other side of the galaxy, Ambassador Nicole Ford was creating something far more important than any military victory. The Galactic Council chambers on the neutral world of Haven 7 were filled with representatives from 200 species. Some had been allies of the three empires. Others had been their subjects. All of them were here to help build a new kind of galactic government. Nicole had been a history teacher before the war. She had studied every form of government humanity had ever tried, from ancient democracies to modern republics. More importantly, she had studied the mistakes every civilization made when trying to rule over others. The old system was based on a simple idea, Nicole told the assembled delegates. The strong rule the weak. The advanced dominate the primitive. The many serve the few. That system died when humanity said enough. A Korthak delegate, General Thrakfor himself, stood to speak. What do you propose instead, human teacher? Partnership, Nicole replied. Real partnership between equals, not the strong exploiting the weak, but everyone working together for common goals. The idea was so radical that many delegates struggled to understand it. For thousands of years, galactic politics had been about conquest and domination. Entire civilizations existed to serve the needs of their betters. The concept of genuine equality between species was almost unthinkable, but the evidence was all around them. During the war, humans had proven that cooperation was more powerful than conquest. Mixed crews of former enemies had defeated forces that once seemed invincible. Scientists from different species working together had created technologies that none of them could have developed alone. Dr. Andrew Miller, the former resistance scientist, demonstrated some of these collaborative achievements. Medical techniques that combined human innovation with Zephyrian psychic healing. Manufacturing processes that used Korthak precision with Volani efficiency. Computer systems that merged human creativity with alien processing power. This is what we can accomplish when we work together, Andrew explained. Imagine what we could do if we stopped fighting each other and started solving real problems. The new Galactic Accords took 3 months to negotiate. Unlike the old treaties that had simply divided conquered territories between empires, these agreements established rights and responsibilities for every species. Trade would be based on mutual benefit, not exploitation. Military forces would defend all members, not just the strongest. Scientific discoveries would be shared freely instead of hoarded as weapons. Not every species joined the new order. Some aliens preferred the old system where might made right. They withdrew to isolated sectors where they could continue their traditional ways. But most of the galaxy embraced the chance to try something different. The former Empire worlds became the foundation of the new civilization. Earth served as the diplomatic center where representatives from every species worked together to solve conflicts through negotiation instead of warfare. Korthak military academies trained integrated defense forces where former enemies learned to fight side by side. Zephyrian research institutes developed technologies to heal minds instead of controlling them. Volani financial networks created economic systems that benefited everyone instead of just corporate shareholders. Jake Morrison, the freighter captain whose message had started the rebellion, now served as Earth's first representative to the Galactic Council. He often stood at the observation deck of the Council building, watching ships from hundreds of worlds dock peacefully in the same spaceport. His cargo hauler New Liberty had been transformed into a monument in Earth's orbital museum. Visitors from across the galaxy came to see the simple ship where humanity had finally decided to fight back. But Jake knew the real monument was not a ship or a building. The real monument was the civilization they had built together. Children who would never know the fear of alien occupation played in parks where human and alien families lived side by side. Scientists who had once worked in secret now shared their discoveries openly with colleagues from dozens of species. Soldiers who had once hidden their training now served together in fleets that protected everyone equally. The galaxy had learned that when humanity said enough, they did not just tear down the old system. They built something better in its place, something based on the radical idea that different species could work together as equals. And perhaps most importantly, They had proven that the strongest civilizations were not built on conquest and domination. They were built on cooperation and mutual respect. The galaxy would never be the same again. And that was exactly what humanity had intended.